The body of a newborn baby boy was found in a bag on Temple Lane in downtown Kingston this morning. The body was discovered by a passerby who noticed dogs biting the bag and alerted the police. Now, according to police sources, the baby might have been dumped yesterday, Mother's Day. The body of the child was transported to the morgue shortly after police investigators processed the scene. One woman who was on the scene to witness the gruesome find expressed her anger at the unknown woman who dumped the child.
What the sense? You carry a baby for 9 months. You eat, you drink, you party, you real long years, long year. You do everything, you enjoy life right for the night. So why you gonna wait till you with the baby born 9 months when the baby come and dash with the baby? And where the girl push out the belly. Everything, placenta, everything. Nothing. The girl a genius, the girl for go man. Hey, if it's all my pitney them, I'm proud of my children. Right now when my son graduated from lawyer school. My children, they are fine and I be money them said come here, Western and MoneyGram. I don't need nothing. I'm in a owl. And them reach 35 yet. My child when me young. I'm in a dash of my pitney. The girl for go man. I eat that girl. You know the baby can be next Usain Bolt, the next Prime Minister, the next lawyer. The next doctor and you that share baby, fear womb doom. Really mad as a mother with 3 children. And right now I want more children. Because if you say more children, a blessing. But I have a stay 10 pitney right now. I swear. Because children are a blessing.
The Kingston Central Police are asking the public to assist them in locating the mother of the child. We will bring you more on this story in subsequent newscasts. In other news, the police have identified a pregnant woman who succumbed to injuries she sustained in a crash at the Winston Jones Highway near Mandeville last night. She is 22-year-old Torian Elliott of Riches in Clarendon. A report from the Constabulary Communications Unit, CCU, said that at approximately 7:45 p.m., 3 persons were traveling uphill towards Mandeville in a Toyota Crown Motor car when it was hit by another car. Now, the impact resulted in the Crown going over a guardrail. Police say the driver of the other car did not stop at the scene. Firefighters had to be called in to extricate Elliott from the mangled Crown. Now, Elliott, along with 2 other men, were rushed to the hospital where she died while undergoing treatment. The men are said to be in stable condition. Still tonight, the Nursing Association says there is a crisis in the nursing sector. President of the NAJ, Patsy Edwards Henry's comment was made against news that hundreds of nurses are being recruited by an English firm.
It is a perennial problem. It has been happening over the years. England, UK, US, Canada have been coming and they have been recruiting nurses. There are a number of programs. Just last week, I learned of another program. They call it the Earn, Learn, Return. So you pay your own way, you go, you are facilitated in an institution in the United Kingdom. They send you to school while you're working and then encourage you to return. But why would I return with such a lucrative offer? But you know, our nurses continue to migrate. Just this morning I was on a discussion with the WHO and our chief nurse presented, and we have lost 1,780 nurses over the last 4 years, and those are just the ones that we know about. The Nursing Council has reported that 4,225 transcripts between 2017 and 2021 have been requested. Now we have close to 3,000, 3,500 registered nurses in the public sector. Can you imagine us losing close to 400, 500 nurses every year when we are not employing that amount? Because based on the IMF order a few years ago, you will remember when the IMF came and said they wanted a leaner, more efficient public service.
The Nurses Association's president went on to say that this has now left the country in a crisis and called on the government to put a program in place to stem the migration.
The government of Jamaica embarked on employing based on those who were retired, died, or resigned. So they did a replacement only. So the government of Jamaica is not employing registered nurses when they graduate. Not that we are not training enough, we are training enough. It's just that we are not employing. And when we do employ, we have a challenge with stability of tenure because there are no posts to appoint the nurses. We are in a very, very serious, I would want to say we're at a crisis level. Because when you look at our population, we have a growing aging population, we have persons who are living longer, and we are plagued with non-communicable diseases, plus we have, as you see, the re-emerging infectious diseases. There is a great need for nurses and midwives and other healthcare workers to care for our population. If we do not keep the brightest of the brightest, or healthcare workers, or nurses, or midwives to care for our population, we look at our Millennium Development Goals, now our SDGs, our Sustainable Development Goals. When we look at maternal and neonatal mortality, we realize that we are way behind in attaining the Sustainable Development Goals. So we are at crisis level. Invest in nursing. And we are imploring the government to do just that, invest in nursing.
She said that there is also a global crisis and our government needs to look at the country's need to increase the nursing population in order to effectively provide care for the population.
There is a global problem, and WHO has said it, that in the next 4 to 5 years, if governments across the world do not invest in nursing, we will have a shortage of close to 30 million nurses globally. So it is important that we look at how we are investing in nursing. One major way is through education. The government has transferred all the schools to the Ministry of Education. All persons entering the profession now have to pay. The government needs to look at their needs for the next 5 to 10 years. How many nurses will I need? How many midwives will I need? And they have to put now in place a training budget to facilitate the training of these nurses in order to care for the populace, because when nurses train themselves and pay for their own training, they're not obligated to stay in the public sector.
We turn our attention now to tonight's COVID-19 update, where the Ministry of Health and Wellness reported 166 new COVID-19 cases and 3 deaths yesterday, May 8, increasing the infection total now to 131,327 and total deaths from the virus now to 2,980. There were also 117 recoveries in the last 24 hours, increasing the total of recovered persons now to 84,514. In our parish breakdown, Kingston and St. Andrew recorded 37 cases. St. James follows with 36 cases. St. Anne recorded 28 cases. St. Catherine recorded 21 cases. Westmoreland recorded 10 cases. Manchester and St. Elizabeth recorded 8 cases each. Trelawney and Clarendon recorded 5 cases each. Hanover recorded 3 cases. St. Mary and St. Thomas recorded 2 cases each. And Portland recorded 1 case. The new cases comprise 108 females and 58 males ranging in age from 20 days to 90 years. Meanwhile, the deceased are a 94-year-old male and a 74-year-old female from St. Catherine who died in March and October of 2021 respectively, and a 9-year-old female from St. Elizabeth who died in April 2022. As we continue with the news tonight, the People's National Party PNP's councillor for the Maxfield Division, Dennis Gordon, says he is poised to take over the runnings of the Dr. Peter Phillips's St. Andrew East Central seat whenever it becomes vacant.
I have had Dr. Phillips' full endorsement. He was the person who nominated me to be chairman of the constituency. The current leadership of the party have also working with me. So there's a question of continuing the work, ensuring that the organization is strong. And whenever Dr. Phillips thinks it is time to go, then I'll step into the bridge. And it's an honor to be following on this footstep of Norman Manley, D.K. Duncan, Dr. Phillips, and Mr. Jones. It's really a stellar group of gentlemen who have really represented this constituency. And I'm humbled to follow in their footsteps. I don't know I can fill the shoes, but I'm committed to do the very best I can. And if I'm able to do 50 or 60% of what Dr. Phillips has accomplished, then I would have done my part.
He was speaking at a Mother's Day function at the Norman Manley High School. He also stated that he welcomes any challengers that want to take him on for the seat.
I expect none, but I don't know who is coming from the other side. But I really expect none from within, on my side, or from my side. A recent poll was done, and I am comfortable ahead, but I don't take it for granted. So all the nuances, some of the mistakes made, I am working now to correct those, to strengthen the organization, to be visible on the ground, and continue to reach out to people, to change life, to transform life. That has been my strength, and I will continue to do so. I have had great success in bringing people back together who, for one reason or another, was disgruntled. And so I continue to work assiduously to ensure that in East Central, we're all on the same page. Anyone who think within that they want to do so, they do so at their own peril. And I welcome anyone from the other side. This is East Central St. Andrew. And East Central St. Andrew with Dennis Gordon will remain in the column of the People's National Party.
Still tonight, church and community members staged a peaceful march in the Logwood community in Hanover, calling for an end to crime and violence. Here is Mello May with more on this story.
Members of the Seventh-day Adventist Church SDA in Hanover and residents of the Lockwood community yesterday were out in their numbers as they joined forces in condemning the recent spike in shootings and killings in the community. Members of the Marchtown SDA came out in their numbers crying for peace.
For the past months, it has been pure crime and violence. Innocent people have been losing their lives. Families are in mourning, and this evening as a church, we are presenting Jesus to the community and to let them know that without Jesus, we cannot have a peaceful community. We would like to take back our community where we can sleep with our doors open and we can walk late at night and we can just have a peaceful community.
Well, I want when we walk in the community, we can feel more at peace. The youths can feel safe. They're tired of this hearing these gunshots. They're tired of being scared. I'm tired of when I go out to other communities, they're like, look where you come from. You feel like you're from an alien type of community. And I'm tired of it now. I want to change.
Warmongers are troublemakers around. Because most of the people, they have love. But they need to give 100% to Jesus. And find some time and pray and bring back the love in the community.
Pastor Samuels says that violence anywhere is a threat to peace everywhere.
If we only take drastic measures against the youth on the corner and don't take the same level of holding others accountable, whether they are in politics, business, the JDF, the JCF, or the church, the truth is corruption anywhere is a threat to moral development everywhere. Violence anywhere is a threat to peace everywhere. The issue is that we must hold ourselves accountable, we must hold others accountable, and we must have a zero tolerance for indiscipline. We have come too far. This is our 60th anniversary as a nation. I saw my land in the morning, and now in the prime of its life, we've got to go back to our values and attitudes that gave birth to this nation. We have got to hold people accountable. We've got to provide for communities, safe places, provide some social workers who will help arrest the problem before it becomes a problem. You don't have to scam your way out of your problem. You don't have to shoot your way out to make a living. No, make the system make you kill your brother, man. No dread, no.
Commanding officer for the parish of Hanover, Sharon Beeput, said that from yesterday's march, residents will recognize that crime and violence cannot continue.
Investigation is continuing in the matter, but the matter is being investigated presently by the MID section. So we continue to ensure that the persons who are involved soon will be able to apprehend them. The police and the citizens getting together to carry out the activities. We are hoping that from this venture, the citizens will understand that crime and violence cannot continue in this parish. We have to understand that we have to be responsible and take responsibility for our actions. So we want us to come together, work together to make Hanover a safer place for all of us.
Reporting for Mello TV News, I'm Kelleen May.
Continuing with the news tonight, 34-year-old Shane Johnson of Cottage Pen, Manchester has been arrested and charged following a shooting incident in May 2020 on the Winston Jones Highway in Manchester. Reports from the Mandeville Police coming into our news center are that at approximately 11:20 a.m., a team of officers were conducting an operation in the area when they went in pursuit of a Toyota Axio motor car with armed men aboard. Now, upon the approach of the police, they were met with gunfire. The gunfire was returned and the men abandoned the motor car and fled in the area on foot. Now, one firearm was found in the motor car during a subsequent search. An investigation was launched, and with technological aid, Johnson was identified when fingerprints from the scene were recognized by the force's fingerprint identification system. He was arrested and charged on Friday, May 6, for shooting with intent, illegal possession of firearm, illegal possession of ammunition, and assault at common law, following a question and answer interview in the presence of his attorney. Still making the news tonight, the government has signed a contract for the digitizing of public records. Here is Kelleen May with the details.
Approximately 2 million records at the Registrar General's Department RGD relating to birth, marriage, death and adoption created from 1930 are to be digitized under the National Identification System NIDS. A contract was signed with Fujitsu Limited at the Office of the Prime Minister OPM on the weekend to facilitate the process. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, in his address at the signing ceremony, noted the importance of digitization in safeguarding the vital records at the RGD.
For this contract signing, we're focusing obviously on the records of the RGD. But the records of the RGD form the basis of our civil data. So what we are trying to do now is to go back in time for those records that were not computer generated, that are paper-based, that might have a lot of errors in them. They are at risk of any kind of natural disasters or are internally deteriorating, that we can now go and first of all scan them and create a digital image of them. And not only that, as was being explained to me, that we will make the digital image intelligent, meaning that you can add codes to it that will support what is called the metadata, which will give explanations. So when you are searching, you have more power to find the right document. And that is what this contract is about. So this contract will truly bring our civil registry into the modern world. And, you know, the best that technology affords us right now and our money could buy, to ensure that your data is safe and will not be misused or mishandled, and that when you want it, you can have it.
The Prime Minister said that as a society becomes more sophisticated and complex, in order to reduce the complications of accountability and security, you have to introduce technology.
There is great fear that this unknown world is just one big bother. And why do we need to do this? Why we don't just live as we have always lived? The challenge is that our society is becoming far more sophisticated and complex. And as a society becomes more sophisticated and complex, in order to reduce the complications of accountability, security, and in these days security is a big concern, you have to introduce technology. So technology doesn't complicate things, or rather technology should not complicate things. What technology should do is make complex tasks simpler. So when we say we're digitizing our economy by introducing technology, it is about increasing our capacity to serve and take on complex functions in a simple way.
Minister without portfolio in the OPM, Floyd Green, said that digitizing the RGD's records will make the process more efficient and will be able to enhance our services.
This program is undertaking the digitization of 2 million vital records of Jamaica. Records relating to birth, marriage, death, adoption, and deed poll that we have at the RGD. Clearly, by digitizing these records, we will be able to make the processes at the RGD much more efficient. We'll be able to enhance our services. More importantly, we'll be able to have our people save money. We will be improving the lives of our citizens. And all of this is backed by the fact that when you digitize your economy and your society, your country does better. Your people do better. In fact, we've seen reports from the World Economic Forum that a 10% increase in digitization leads to a 0.7% growth in GDP per capita. Again, more importantly, it leads to the betterment of lives of our citizens. So today, ladies and gentlemen, marks the completion of a 24-month journey.
Minister Green said that the signing ceremony marks the completion of a 24-month journey involving national and international procurement process, where Fujitsu Limited succeeded with the highest financial score.
Procurement process started in June 2020, where our project executing team received expressions of interest from 14 local and international companies. They subsequently received proposals from 4 companies and a 7-member panel, including non-voting technical experts from the IDB, conducted the evaluation exercise, and Fujitsu Limited emerged with the highest technical score. They will install the necessary infrastructure at the RGD's head office to facilitate the digitization of records created from 1930 to the present. But there's a critical component to this program. Not only will we be digitizing the records, we'll be also incorporating our youth. So in this project, we will be utilizing young people who are graduates of our Hard Trust NSTA HOPE program that Fujitsu will train on the job to become leaders in the digitization process. I think that element deserves a big round of applause.
Chief Executive Officer of Fujitsu Caribbean and Latin America, Mervyn Eyre, in his remarks, said the project is a pivotal step in digitally transforming the public sector to deliver citizen-centric services faster and more securely.
It is with immense pride and truly an honor to participate in the occasion of this contract signing for the digitization of vital records for the Registrar General Department. On behalf of Fujitsu, we are very proud to have been selected as your trusted partner after a very, very rigorous selection process, which was competitive, and look forward to working with the Office of the Prime Minister, the NIDS Project Office, the RGD, and all key stakeholders to ensure the successful delivery of this very important digital transformation project for Jamaica and our citizens. To transform into a more trusted society, we believe we need a step-by-step approach that strengthens digital resilience at the core, delivers greater value to society through digital innovation, and ultimately create a new value through digital ecosystems. What the OPM has embarked on through this project is fundamental to this process. Most importantly, at the center of this idea are people and citizens. The team that will execute on this, on our commitments, will be leveraging the best of Jamaican talent, who themselves will be beneficiaries of the outcome. I'd like to thank you for the trust and confidence you put in us, and we look forward to working with you as we change society.
Reporting from Mello TV News, I am Colleen May.
As we continue with the news tonight, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Matthew Samuda, welcomed the investment of $37,250 that was used to expand Hannahtown's Eco Village. The minister, who was speaking at the Eco Village's ribbon-cutting ceremony on the grounds of St. Anne's Catholic Church in Hannahtown, said, "This is what partnerships look like when the church, with their international partners and members of the private sector, come together with communities. Then you will get these sorts of benefits."
Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is what partnerships look like. When the church comes together with your international partners, comes together, members of the private sector, and come together with communities, you get the sorts of benefits that we see behind us. Now, these benefits speak for themselves. It is impatient of debate that Jamaica is on the front line of the climate change fight. Anything that deals with, or any program rather, that deals with carbon sequestration, that deals with urban greening, is something that the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation is indeed minded to support. This is a sort of project that brings and breathes life back into communities like Hannahtown. It's the second time I've been here in recent times and seen the community come together. The recent mural unveiling up the road was another such time, and it says to me that Hannahtown is coming together and coalescing around the idea and the ideals of a positive livelihood and positive living.
Minister Samuda noted that this project will restore and breathe life into communities like Hannahtown.
I would have recently served in the Ministry of National Security, and I know the long history of Hannahtown, certainly from the statistics. But I can tell you that this coalescing around the idea and the ideals of positive living and livelihood is obviously playing out as we're seeing significant reductions in the criminal activity in this community. Western Kingston as a police division, not necessarily the constituency that we speak in, has had its challenges in recent times, but it is good to see that this community is standing strong and doing and living the way that we want communities to live. I wish to extend my thanks to the Maya Foundation for the work that they have done. We certainly need many more of these right across the length and breadth of Jamaica. And I pledge the support of the ministry as we go forward in identifying additional lands and certainly where resources can be allocated to support other such sites.
The founder and CEO of Maya Foundation, Marvin Campbell, said these gardens are expected to lessen the instances of criminal activity, and the produce from the Hannahtown's Eco Village will be provided to the surrounding schools of St. Anne's Prep and High School.
We want as many of Hannahtown's community members to join the effort. At this stage, we have the participants for this Eco Village already identified, which then means the next step and next phase for us is to now efficiently and proficiently train these community members. So they now get a hands-on training in their own garden and in and around agriculture in a whole, while we also extend the training into entrepreneurship, startup, because whatever they plant here ought to be sold not to the markets, but to the surrounding schools, because our impact should supersede and exceed the grasp of the local markets, which then inevitably also involves permanent cannibalization of market and market share. Because the same people that aid and abet this garden and work in it are the same people that have their children in the local schools in just like, as you can see across the road from the school, St. Anne's Prep, St. Anne's High. So those will be their markets.
It was noted that there is also an eco garden at a cost of $24,250 in the Golden Heights community of Denham Town that was established last year, September. He said these gardens are expected to lessen the instances of criminal activity.
Denham Town, ergo Golden Heights, has their own eco-village. It's an equivalent of 650, 700 square foot, but they at this stage have, due to their space, a little more trees, more plant and banana trees, and more seedlings. However, both parties, Hannahtown and Denham Town, will receive the training. That is the time where we want to breach the fear or the unfriendliness of Hannahtown or the animosity towards Denham Town. We will bring Hannahtown and Denham Town in one space, train both eco-villages with the same content, because we do hope and believe that eco-villages within the groups start to talk and interchange information and become friends because they're all doing the same. So that is our bridge that we're trying to create between the violent communities.
And those are the stories making news. We'll now take a break and then join Christopher Scott with the latest in sports.